Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. This is Intervlog, and I am here once more. There is a news that is circulating all over the West Africa today, and that is the reason I'm here. And you would wonder, what news is that? Well, just 3 days ago, former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo went to the radio for an interview. During the interview, he said that if he happened to win the 2025 presidential election in Ivory Coast, he will consider siding with the Sahel alliances. The journalist asked him, "What do you mean?" He said that he likes what is happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic. My question is Ivory Coast planning to join Sahel Alliance in 2025? Well, let's see if the news is going to give us the answer. Let's go. Laurent Gbagbo. I have a good view of the AES states. Ivory Coast. Former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo gave an interview to Cameroonian journalist Alain Foka, head of AFO Media. During this interview, several topics were discussed. These include national news in Ivory Coast related to his ineligibility for the 2025 presidential election due to a 20-year sentence that weighs on his person, but they also discussed the context of the creation of the Alliance of Sahel States and his view of this approach by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. This other appearance by the former Ivorian head of state was highly anticipated since the announcement of the broadcast of this interview on the YouTube channel of Alain Foka, a former RFI journalist, now head of AFO Media who, according to him, wants to rewrite the African narrative. As expected, for Laurent Gbagbo, Ecowas no longer has its reason to exist. He who during his 10 years at the head of the Ivorian executive denounced, at regular intervals, the inertia or even a certain complicity of the Ecowas states, as well as the international community in the conflict which opposed his regime to that of the rebellion led by Guillaume Soro. Without hesitation, the president of the PPACI expressed his admiration for the courage of the leaders of these three states united within the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, on which he says he has a good view. For Laurent Gbagbo, one of the fundamental questions to ask concerns the reasons for the departure in 2023 of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from this organization created in 1975. A departure that is justified for him, who believes that the organization does not tackle the problems of its member countries. Citing Boko Haram and the other groups that are scouring the Sahel in full view of Ecowas, he recalls that it has always remained inert. When you are not able in a community to come together to find a solution to the problems that arise, do not be surprised that people leave you. Still, on his view of Ecowas, Laurent Gbagbo clearly depicts it as a propaganda instrument of France, because according to him, the principle of he who pays commands reigns there. Beyond Ecowas, the former resident of The Hague makes the same analysis of the situation of the African Union, whose headquarters was entirely financed and built by China and whose operating budget is largely sponsored by the European Union. For me, I think that Africans have two choices: pull themselves together and finance their organizations, including Ecowas, or dissolve them, he decided. The journalist then wonders why Laurent Gbagbo, who claims to be a Democrat, supports regimes born of coup d'etat. The AES is presented as a conglomerate of putschists. There have also been coup d'etat in Guinea, Gabon, and Chad. I make two remarks. For those who criticize the leaders of the AES and call them putschists, there are two kinds of coup d'etat: good coup d'etat and bad coup d'etat. Either a coup is a coup or it is not, denouncing the double standards of Western and African countries. He recalls that Africa is full of coup makers, either constitutional or military, so the AES is no exception. Ultimately, Laurent Gbagbo promises to normalize relations between the AES states and Côte d'Ivoire if he becomes president again in 2025. I will simply consider them as states, unlike the current leaders of Ecowas for whom they are unapproachable. How can we receive General Brice Oligui Nguema, President of Gabon, and reject Presidents Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, or Assimi Goïta of Mali, or General Tiani of Niger? He asked. Kudu Laurent Gbagbo, born 31st May 1945, is an Ivorian politician who was the president of Côte d'Ivoire from 2000 until his arrest in April 2011. A historian, Gbagbo was imprisoned in the early 1970s and again in the early 1990s, and he lived in exile in France during much of the 1980s as a result of his union activism. Gbagbo founded the Ivorian Popular Front, FPI, in 1982, and ran unsuccessfully for president against Félix Houphouët-Boigny at the start of multi-party politics in 1990. He won a seat in the National Assembly of Côte d'Ivoire in 1990. Gbagbo claimed victory after Robert Gueye, head of a military junta, barred other leading politicians from running in the October 2000 presidential election. The Ivorian people took to the streets, toppling Gueye. Gbagbo was then installed as president. In the 2010 presidential election, Alassane Ouattara defeated Gbagbo and was recognized as the winner by election observers, the international community, the African Union, AU, and the Economic Community of West African States. However, Gbagbo refused to step down, despite mounting international pressure. The Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, announced that Ouattara had won the race with 54% of the vote, a tally that the United Nations concluded was credible. However, the Constitutional Council, a body dominated by pro-Gbagbo members, annulled the results in Ouattara's electoral strongholds in the north, claiming fraud, and declared Gbagbo the winner with 51% of the vote. In December 2010, both Gbagbo and Ouattara assumed the presidency, triggering a short period of civil conflict in which about 3,000 people lost their lives. Gbagbo was arrested in 2011 by pro-Ouattara forces who were supported by French troops. Gbagbo was extradited to The Hague in November 2011, where he was charged with 4 counts in connection with the post-election crisis. Gbagbo was the first former head of state to be taken into the court's custody. In January 2019, an ICC panel dismissed the charges against Gbagbo and one of his former ministers, Charles Blé Goudet, determining that the evidence presented was insufficient. Prosecutors appealed the decision, and Gbagbo was prohibited from returning to Côte d'Ivoire pending the appeal proceedings. The ICC ultimately upheld Gbagbo's acquittal, and in April 2021, Ouattara stated he and Blé Goudet were free to return to the country. This is the end of our program today. See you on Intervlog, same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you for watching Intervlog. Thank you.